And we are back. Another outstanding episode of the Square Table Degenerates. Today we welcome to the show, actor Andy Comeau. How are you today, sir?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. Hell yeah. It's cold up here.
I'm just going to text my wife so she doesn't keep calling me.
Okay, for sure. My wife is getting something. She had to go shopping, so I gave her the card and just said, go shopping because it's easier than trying to figure out how much she needs. Just give her a damn card.
Yeah, that's always easy. The card is always the easiest.
Hey, because if I give her $80 and she needs $87, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Oh man! Every time I speak, it's recording what I say. Hold on a second.
All right.
I'm doing that podcast thingy. I'll call you later. All right.
Outstanding. All right.
You got a little cigarillo there.
Yes, sir. Well, I smoke a lot of weed. I got my pre-rolls and then the cigarillos. I just smoke just when I'm not smoking the weed. You know, can't hit the weed all the time. You know,
gotcha.
It's the ringer. I don't know. In my head, it's always weird. It's legal now, but like in my head, I was like, oh, if I ever get caught, I'm just smoking a cigarillo. It's not weed. But it's such a habit now. I just keep doing it. Well, I used to break up the swishers and smoke them, you know, like a blunt and stuff, but I was just coughing too much, so I switched to the cones and the pre-rolls.
Do those things have filters?
The pre-rolls do, or they got like a little tip. Like these ones don't. These are just straight. You can smoke them as far down as you want, I guess.
Like gas station.
Yeah, those are straight from the gas station. But like the pre-rolls, they got a little tip on there.
All right.
So from like here over is a tip, so you smoke all that air. It's usually like a gram in each one. Not too bad. Michigan's
is that weed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's got a filter on it.
Yeah, it comes it's a pre-roll pack, and it comes. These are cones. They call them cones, and they just basically stuff the cone. I think they have an employee or a machine do it, and then put like a gram in each one. So
cool.
Smoke that if you want. Hell yeah. All right. So the internet tells me you was born the youngest of 10 children. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's crazy. I had to replay that in my head because when I heard that, it's like families today, they got 10 kids, they got like TV shows. So like,
yeah, no kidding.
What?
We missed the bus. Just a little late.
My goodness. There was a show called Just the 10 of Us. Do you remember that with, back in the late 80s, they had, I can't remember the actor's name, but there was like, the premise was the guy had a job as like a janitor at like a private school, and all of his kids and him like we're in this one house that they paid for. It was a great show.
I remember 8 is Enough. And then like, you know, the Waltons had tons of kids. Did they have tons of kids?
Oh yeah.
And then there was that one, wasn't there that one where now it's all controversial, like they had all these kinds of personal problems. They had like tons of kids, and they were they were the first like
the Dugars or whatever.
Dugars, yeah. And then now they're like in all kinds of crazy trouble, scandal stuff.
Oh yeah, the other one too. That John and Kate plus 8.
Oh, that's the other one. Yeah. And Octomom. Yeah,
they all hot messes. Every single one of them was a hot mess. John and Kate split up, and John's doing his damn. I follow him on one of the social medias. He's just out partying, and the kids have got to be all teenagers by now. But I mean, geez, what? So like, was your house when you was coming up there? You got all these. You're the youngest. Was it like functional, dysfunctional? Describe like the dynamic when you could first start remembering stuff.
You know, man, the world was so different, right? Like it was such a different place. We rode our bikes places. You didn't have any of the influences you have today. So it just doesn't even compare to what life is like today. We grew up on a farm, New Hampshire, and there was nobody around. You know, we had each other to put together football teams, and that was it. My dad had he had a business where he got ski wear made in China, like back in the 70s. He was doing this, and before it was like a thing you could design a purse and go find a factory and go live in China for a while. Now it seems like that's like the chic thing to do if you got a trust fund. But he was doing it like right around the time all the big US ski companies started to do it. He found like this little factory, and they were making him stuff. And so he had that going on and was gone a lot. And we were at the farm, being raised mainly by my mom, because he was just on the road all the time. He had to provide for all these kids. I don't know how the hell he did it. It's making me like nervous just thinking about it right now. Giving me a stomach ache.
Now, so you were the youngest. Did you like learn lessons from your brothers and sisters how to get away with stuff, or is it just you were the spoiled baby? What was your, you personally? How did they interact with you?
We did not. We were just not like rascal kids. We were just pretty well behaved. So I definitely learned from them, but more it was more like you look at them do something in life, you go, oh, I'm going to do that, or I'm not going to do that, because I don't like how that turned out for them or whatever. And I always leaned towards daydreaming and artsy kind of stuff. And so I was a little bit of a different, I'm the only one in my family that pursued that kind of a life. Everyone else has more of a straight job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you were from New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I picked up where it was kind of close to Boston. No, he was right on the border there.
No, we were in New Boston, which is really, really tiny little town, but it's a good hour from Boston.
Okay.
Really just out in the sticks. There's nothing around.
Now, when you was growing up, did you have would you get all the Boston stations? Were you a big sports fan? I mean, you were like,
that was like
Larry Bird. You was in high school, right? When Larry Bird was in his prime,
that was like the golden era of like the Celtics and the Lakers, and not so much for the Red Sox, but I think for the Celtics, it was an awesome time.
Did you ever get to go to the Garden much? Did you ever get to see him?
No way, man. No, we never got to do any of that stuff.
Okay, so you guys just kind of hung out in the farm, boy. Did you like play hockey? Just play football?
We did play hockey. We had a pond, and we would get our skates on and go down there and play. None of us were really good, but it was more or less like just something to do, in the wintertime.
Okay, so did you guys ever take like a proverbial trip to the city? Like when I was, little, we grew up in Chicago a little bit in Cleveland, but like we go downtown. Did you guys ever have what was a road trip for you guys when you was your dad's back from the road?
We would go to Maine. So we went from rural to like no man land. We'd go up to Maine and go camping. It was all stuff that you couldn't spend any money, right? Like you had 10 kids. It's not like you're going to get hotel rooms. And then we went down to New Jersey. My relatives had a lake house. So in the summertime, we'd go down there for like a week. But no, we didn't travel. My dad did do a couple of crazy trips when he was working for other people. He won these sales competitions. One time he took us to Bermuda, and another time he took us to Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
And I was really little, so I don't remember it. I was like, a little tyke. But there's photos of all the kids getting on the plane with their skis. You used to carry your skis with you back then,
Oh,
and
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how the hell he did it.
What kind of out of curiosity, what kind of vehicle did the parents haul you guys around in?
Suburban.
Oh, nice.
It was a Suburban, and by the time I was, I guess, in going to school and stuff, there was a couple of them that had gone off to college, so we all fit in the Suburban.
Okay. How many rooms did they have for these 10 years? Did you have at least 5 rooms? I mean, how many?
Yeah, it was a big farmhouse, big farmhouse in New Hampshire. And there were a couple rooms with a few boys in it, but it was never like we needed more room ever. We had plenty of room.
Okay, cool. What was like high school life for you? Were you like in many clubs or any sports or anything?
I did football for a year, and I just was so small. I was just like, this is not for me. I'm getting pounded. And then I didn't really do anything else. I started doing plays and stuff in high school.
Okay.
But even when I was in high school, it was like if you weren't naturally talented in sports, those kids had already been playing together since they were in like Pop Warner leagues. That's how all the sports were. It was like you had to, and it's even more so now, right? I don't have little kids, but it's like you got to get your kids in all these groups right away because they get left behind.
Oh, dude, yeah, back when we were there, yeah, same thing. Now it's even more now. I mean, I didn't play like football until like high school, you know, and then everybody played football in high school. This is what you did. You try for football. And I'm a bigger guy, I'm taller, but I just didn't like the lifting weights and all the running into people and I mean, I was a lineman. So like you're out here, you know, we used to have these drills. I can't remember the name of it. It was Nebraska drill or something, but we'd lay down on the ground and we'd have to get up and just tackle the guy. And we do that like over and over and over.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I was terrible at all those things. I was always like, I'm basically the same size as that guy, but he weighs like 50 pounds more than me. I don't know how. It's just like a light little thing.
Hey, now these guys, they'll put these kids together out there in third grade in pads and just out there running drills. And I don't know. It seems like all the athletes that come up now, they seem to be next generation guys. You know, guys that from 20 years ago remember, oh, here's LeBron James' kid. Here's Carlos Boozer's kid.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, freaking ridiculous, man.
I know. It's crazy.
It's like, what was the move after high school? Did you consider the service? I think you said you went to college for a year. What were your career aspirations like getting, you know, when you was 18, getting ready to leave high school?
I knew when I was leaving high school, I wanted to go into the arts. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't have any touchstone in the arts at all. But I thought I wanted to be an actor, and I thought, oh, I'll go study theater. Oh, what a bad move. It really is like the worst thing to be studying if you want to be an actor. You should any of the humanities would be good, but just to go and get in a clique of kids that all want a part, it's just such a bad way to become an adult, you know, and expand and become. You got to become more well-rounded, I think, if you're going to be an artist, and that doesn't do it.
You were going to be a theater major when you went in there? Oh, geez.
Yeah, I started as a theater major, and then I went my sophomore year. I convinced them to let me go abroad, which they don't usually let you do to your junior year because of what I did, which was I went and I had all these amazing teachers. It was like a conservatory type of school, and I was like, oh, I'm not going back to Durham, New Hampshire. I'm going to work. Like this is Dustin Hoffman's vocal coach, you know. It was like I didn't want to go back to, you know, holding a spear in Macbeth until I was a senior, you know. So I came back, I saved some money, and I moved to Los Angeles. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have anything. I had a duffel bag. I didn't have a car. You need a car in LA. Got to have a car. And just started doing it. Found a place to live. Found a shitty car. Can we swear on this?
Oh yeah. So whatever the fuck you want, brother. This is totally swearing.
Swear to your STD. I've got to be able to swear.
Yeah, you got me. That's why I set the precedent for just a low brow. I mean, I put degenerate in the title of the show. I mean, it's generally assumed we're going to talk about fucked up shit, right? So you're out there in LA, man. Where did you like? I mean, I'm kind of familiar. You're probably still out there, but was it like Hollywood? How close did you move to like Burbank? You know, give me a.
I lived in. So when I first moved there, I moved to. I lived on Sunset in Doheny, which was like a very small, like a one-room apartment. And then I had a friend who was in theater, summer theater, and she lived down in Long Beach, which is like another city still in the LA County, but it's quite far away. And I went down there to visit her, and I was like, this is maybe more my speed. It was a little bit slower. You know, I just came off the farm. So it was a little bit tricky to be in West Hollywood right away for me. So I moved down to Orange County, and I lived down there for a couple of years, and then I moved back up and I lived in Hollywood. And then I started working almost right when I came back up. I wasn't there very long. I booked like a commercial and a infomercial, and then I booked 8 Heads and Duffle Bag really quickly.
Okay. What was some random jobs you had down there before you started getting the, you know?
I worked in men's furnishings at Nordstrom's.
Oh, nice.
I worked there the busiest time of the year. It was the Christmas time, and I don't know if they have Nordstrom's back here, but it's kind of like a nicer department store where they had this policy where you could return anything you bought if you were unhappy, even if it was like old underwear. You could bring it back, and you had to accept it. People would do shit like that. They would, like I was in where like you sold shirts and ties and underwear, and people would like bring it back, and I'm not satisfied with it. You just had to, no problem, and you had to like give them a new one. So I was in Nordstrom's. I bartended, I bar backed, I bartended, and that was really it. And then I was I kind of got like fired from my bartending job, which was down in Orange County, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this, because I was living in Hollywood already, and then I just started getting jobs, and it was like meant to be, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, it says you were a photo double for Tom Hanks in Apollo 13. Now,
Yes.
describe what happened there. And prior to this, did people tell you that you look like Tom Hanks or John
Yeah.
Cusack?
When I was younger, people say I look like John Cusack and Tom Hanks a lot. And so when I moved to Hollywood, there are these trade papers that you could get, let you know all the productions that were going on at that time, before the internet and stuff. And I saw Tom Hanks was doing a movie, and so I said, I'm gonna find out who's doing the extras, casting the extras. I'm gonna say, hey, do you need a photo double? And so that's what I did. I had a headshot. I brought it to central casting, and they called me later that afternoon. They said, yeah, he needs a photo double. His brother usually does it. His brother, Jim Hanks, looks exactly like him. He sounds exactly like him. They look like they could be twins. And he usually does all his photo double work, but this time he didn't want to do it. And then I found out why. It was for the lunar landing scenes where I'm coming down the ladder from the lunar module.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to be in this flight suit, which is basically like, they're like a laced pair of shorts. So your legs, your thighs and stuff have these like shoelaces going up the back of them. And you're in this thing. It's really tight, and it's got a metal belt, and they hook wires to it, and they put counterweights on it. You can like walk like you're walking on the moon. And it's really, really hard on your body. And we were doing it from like, I think my call time was like 11 p.m. So we started around like 2 a.m. And Jim Hanks was like, I don't want to do that one. It's like, Tom, find someone else. And I don't even know why you needed someone to look like him, but they had a day where it was like they had me and two other dudes come to a soundstage in Universal Studios, and Tom Hanks comes out, and Ron Howard says, go stand there, Tom. And he stands in between us all, and they're looking at us all. And Ron Howard looks at me, and he's like, I knew I was going to get the job. And because I look like the most like him. And on the day doing all the work, I have a helmet on. You can't even see my face. And there were no other scenes that they called me to set a bunch, but there was no other times that they actually used me. He did most of all of his stuff. Okay. He didn't need like driving in a car or whatever. He would just do it.
Okay. So did you get to meet any of them after the thing? Like, hey, shake hands. What?
I met Kevin Bacon. I stalked him. I went to his trailer and I tried to like talk to him. And he was really cool, but he was like, working. And I said hello to Tom Hanks, but that was really it. He was super busy. I remember the day I went to get my hair cut like him. I was sitting outside the trailer waiting for the hairstylist, and he walked out, and that was my chance. I was like, hey, how you doing? He's like, hi. He walks in the workout trailer. They have these like tractor trailers full of workout stuff on sets. And he went in there and he's like working out. And one by one, man, there was like this procession of crew guys who he had gotten the job for, coming and bringing him a whiskey or bringing him a gift of some sort. And you'd hear him like gabbing in there, but that's what it was. It was like they're coming to kiss the ring,
Nice.
Because he had gotten them all these gigs.
That's crazy, man. I don't know how I would act around something like that. I'd probably just be normal. Whenever a famous person walks in the room, I tend to be whatever. It's after you met all these people, Andy, it's like, who's me from this guy? And we're all just old Gen Xers just living our days, man. There's nothing.
Oh, totally.
Nobody's any special than anybody else. All right, so you were talking about them trade papers. Is that how you heard of 8 Heads in a Duffle Bag?
No, 8 Heads in a Duffle Bag. I was in an acting class. I'd found a guy. You really got to like find the right fit for you. Some of them can be a little bit like like a scene, you know, like a little bit of a you know, not really about the work, not really teaching you much, but just about like who can be the flashiest or whatever. And so I found this guy who's really, really great. He's one of my oldest friends named John Kirby, just the best acting teacher in LA. I studied with a few different ones, but Nina Foch, who's dead now, she taught at USC, but she was an old timey actress, and she had so many great technique things that she taught. And John Kirby was all about the text. He was all about like learning the text and like really understanding what the author was trying to communicate. And that's how you approached all your work, and that's how you created all your characters. And he had introduced me to a manager who was sending me out like crazy. And one of them was a general audition, a general meeting. They don't even do them anymore. You just go and you meet the casting director when you're new, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on with you?" or "Who are you?" And they get a sense for you. And I got called in to audition because of one of those general meetings. I'd gone in and I'd met someone, and they said, "Oh, bring him in for this role." And and that was it. I mean, it was a several auditions, and you know, it is one of those things that turned into it was like a watershed moment for me. It changed the course of my, it gave me a career. Tom Schulman gave me that job. I wouldn't have had, I don't think I would have had this career if he didn't do that. He gave it to me over a bunch of other well or better known people. So I was like, I found that out afterwards, but I was like, wow.
What? How many people? How many people were up against you in the audition? Do you remember?
I don't know. I don't know. Like when I auditioned for it, it was an unusual thing because I went on to have a career after it, and I never really had this experience again where when you're auditioning, you're not really seeing the other people. They give you a big cushion of time. They don't want people running into each other or waiting in a waiting room. It kind of felt
Right.
like a little bit nicer. But when my last test for it, I walked out of where we were doing the audition, and Ben Affleck was there. He was on his way in.
Oh,
He
nice.
came in after me. It was right before Good Will Hunting came out.
Okay, yeah, it was his first big.
So he wasn't a big star yet.
Okay, he was in one of those. What, Chasing Amy? I think it was a good movie. Was it Chasing Amy?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's had a crazy career.
Crazy arcs since then. Now, did they inform you that you got, when you find out you got the role? Did they call you? Did they send you a letter? How did that work?
I think they called. I don't really remember. You know, they called, and at that time it was me and Damon Wayans. Damon Wayans was playing the other lead, and then he didn't want to do it for some reason, and he dropped out. And I thought the whole movie was going to blow up, and here's my one chance. And then they tell me Joe Pesci's going to do it, and I was like, oh my god, what a turn!
Yeah.
Would have been incredible.
The movie starts out at Newark Airport. When you was little, what was your for most of your life? What airport do you use now primarily?
Airport, you know, whatever's around me. I don't live in Los Angeles anymore, so when I was in LA, it was always LAX.
Okay.
We shot some stuff at LAX.
Okay. Was that where most of the airport scenes were shot? Was it LAX?
Yeah, we shot all at LAX. LA wasn't that crazy yet. It was still, you know, it wasn't that crowded.
What did you think of that script when you first read it?
I thought it was really funny. You know, I thought it was kind of like shticky, but that was the style of the movie. And to me, it was like a throwback to like old Steve Martin movies. It felt like that style of movie, and probably was at the tail end of being able to do that kind of comedy. You know, then movies changed and comedies became much more edgy and darker, and that was still pretty, you know, it felt pretty soft, I guess.
Have you ever gotten a bag mix up in real life? And why is it, you know, you do all the security? It was funny to me watching the movie because it was like 4 years before 9/11 is. So it was just a simple walk right through the thing. not how they do now with where you're standing
No
there
kidding. I know.
blast around, take your shoes off, and man, I would kill to keep my shoes on, dude. Jesus, but like, why is it when it comes to like the baggage? When you get off the plane, it's a free for all. Oh, here's any bags, take whatever you want. Like, have you ever had a bag mix up in real life? I mean, nothing similar to that, but I mean, no.
I can't believe I haven't either, because you're right. You go, it's like, why aren't more people like just scarfing away with people's bags? Like they just show up, grab bags and run out. Like it seems like such a free for all, right? There was a period of time after 9/11 or COVID. It was one of these times where you're checking your bag tag like before you left.
Mhm.
They don't do that anymore. Nobody checks anything.
They're so bottom basement when it comes to everything.
Yeah,
like
no.
Well, it's funny when you watch that movie, how easy Pesci just gets through security with stuff, and I would never risk it, obviously, but I bet you could easily get stuff through security if you tried. It's not like
Oh, you totally can. You totally can. We had a band for a while, my wife and I, and we were traveling all the time. And this one kid, he was a trombone player, and he worked with guns. He worked with like appraising old guns and shit like that.
Mhm.
And several times he had like stuff, not guns, but like big long cartridges and things you shouldn't have had, knives, stuff you shouldn't have had in your carry-on, and they just got right through. I don't trust it at all.
Well, I used to just push it in my pocket. Like they used to say, no lighters on planes. And then I realized that like if you put a lighter in your pocket, it doesn't sit out the metal detector. So I wasn't trying to do the matches. I was like,
oh really?
Right in the pocket. Yeah. Well, now you can't do it because they scan you. But now they allow the lighters, which is gold mine. Because you know me, I smoke a lot of weed, and if I'm going someplace, I want my lighters. I want my big lighters, man. I don't want like matches.
Yeah.
Those crypto lighters or some bullshit.
You can take a lighter, but you can't take like, I don't know, like nail clippers or something.
Hey, like some simple stuff. Like, what's this gonna do? It makes no sense, right? I like my favorite, Andy, was always the box where they showed the stuff. This is the stuff we collected. It's like, come on, man. I know somebody in a rocket launcher through airport security. Now, the one scene where you guys were discovering the heads, and then Christy Swanson discovered the heads, it made me laugh so much, man. What were these heads made out of, and how much did they weigh?
Dude, they were very realistic. They were probably like between 7 and 10 pounds each, and they were all like heavy rubber heads with hair. This guy named Greg Cannon is this like visual effects guy. He does like all kinds of, or special effects, I think it's called. But yeah, they looked and felt like real skin and everything. It was like they were really, really good.
Okay. Were there like multiple heads that you could be swapped out? Like there was more than like 8. How many total heads do you think were on the set?
No, there was probably only 8, because there might have been like a backup or something, but they babied those things more than like an actor. They were as I recall, they were very expensive to get made.
Okay, so in most of the scenes when you're carrying around the bag, then I'm assuming that there was a ringer. Was there like lettuce in a plastic?
Okay. Yeah. They weren't actually in there unless you were seeing them. For some hero shot where you see the head, then they put them in there. But yeah, no.
Okay. Did you get to keep a head?
No, I wish I did.
If you could have kept one of the heads, which head would you have kept?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't remember their names, but there were. I mean, any one of them would have been great.
Yeah, I was literally. It's been so long since I watched the movie. I watched the movie last week, but I was doing something else when I did, and so before this, I watched the movie earlier today. So I would have probably picked Hugo. I think Hugo was a nice.
Hugo, yeah, that's right, yeah. Hugo.
Now, you're working with Christy Swanson and Diane Cannon, man, 2 stone cold foxes. This had to be like a wild for a major role for you, right? You get your first role, you got Diane Cannon, prime Christy Swanson. What's
Holy
up with
shit,
that,
man? It was crazy. It was crazy. I was just like happy to be there. Christy Swanson, I remember she said she could see, I was nervous. She was like, just keep showing up every day and look nice and smell nice.
Right? She doesn't want you leaning in, you're smelling
and you'll be fine.
Now, was there any sweet parties during that movie, or was it just like just general work environment?
No. I mean, it was general work environment. We were on location for a little bit of it in Lancaster, California, which is not a fun place to hang out. Or it wasn't then. Sorry, Lancaster. But it was, it's basically just desert, dry. And yeah, no, there was nothing crazy at all.
Okay. All right, a couple questions from Dave. Dave says, "Have you ever
What's
met Ed
up,
Harris?
Dave?
Have you ever met Ed Harris?"
No, I've never met Ed Harris. I bet you he's fun to meet. He seems like one of those guys that would have a lot of stories to tell you. You just have to like sit there and let him talk, keep asking him questions.
100%. I don't even know what to say to the guy. And
Met Harvey Keitel once in Italy.
Oh, nice. You know what show I liked with Keitel was that it was a one season series. It was called a show called Life on Mars, and he played this. It was a flashback, like this guy. I don't know what happened. He got. It was like this is like 20 years ago. He got like hit in the head or something. And he flashed back to 1973. And he was a cop, and Harvey Keitel was his boss. God, it's a great show. I can't remember the name of it. It was called Life on Mars. Yeah, it was called Life on Mars. But yeah, it was only like one season, and they stopped it. I don't know why they just stopped it. But and Dave wants to know if you believe in Bigfoot.
Fuck yeah, of course. I believe in all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about the drones, baby. What the hell is with the drones? What do you think is going on with that?
You think there's something to there, or is that just a bunch of people just trolling everybody? What's your take?
I think that there were things in the sky, they didn't know what they were. And so instead of sending up helicopters and shit like that, the government has big fancy drones that can stay in the air for 5 hours. They sent the drones up. They sent the drones up to like look at what these things were, and they couldn't find them, and they're probably like aliens or whatever, and they like disappeared. And there were all these drones swarming around looking, and they said, "Oh, what are these things?" And the government said, "Oh, we don't know." Of course they know. It's the U.S. military. They don't not know stuff. They know everything.
I was in the service, and it depends on what is up there. There's a lot of groupthink in this service. There's not a lot of people,
but somebody knows.
Oh yeah, somebody knows. I mean, at some level, I mean, I was never privy to this. My security clearance never would have above secret, but I would assume at some level there's some group. We always assume there's some group of people who knows what goes on, does this, does that. You know, the proverbial they. I have no clue who they are if it doesn't exist. But you would assume that because everything still runs no matter what happens. You know what I mean? There's gotta be the guild or wherever the fuck they're called of people.
Somebody knows. Somebody knows.
Right.
Do you ever read those 411? Those books 411? Have you ever heard of those?
I have not.
So this dude I think he used to be a cop. Okay. And he lived out in the Bay Area, and he got hired by these rich billionaires to they believed in Bigfoot. And he was like this cop they knew. I don't know how they knew him, but they were like, "Hey, we're going to hire you to investigate Bigfoot and tell us if it's real or not. So you can use all of your police tactics of investigation." And so he goes about it in a very methodical kind of scientific way. And what he finds out is that the United States National Park System has so many disappeared people. So many have disappeared in national parks that are unaccounted for. They don't know what happened to them. Wow. And so he starts investigating all these cases, and a lot of them have similarities to them. And he's written this skew of books that, as they go on, they get a little bit more like woo-woo and a little bit crazy, but the first ones are really crazy because he describes some famous missing persons cases where like a kid was playing with his dad and the ball went in the woods, and he went in the woods and like they never fucking saw him again.
Oh, wow.
And then there's like kids who appear more than one after they have searched for them, and they say, "I was drinking tea with the bear." And they find there's all these weird coincidences where people disappear where there's berries and water and shit like that.
Okay, I'll have to take a look. Dave is a follow-up. He says, "Do you think the military shot and killed a Bigfoot and has not told us?" Possibly.
Who knows? I think that would have to be a pretty I don't think Bigfoot is going to get shot by anybody.
Yeah, they would probably maybe trank dart him or something. But I mean, and if you have Bigfoot, you got to have female Bigfoots and kid Bigfoots. So I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, if you think about it, like as a species, if the Bigfoot does exist, there got to be, hidden.
But that's how we understand things, because you and I only know about what physics says exists.
That's true.
But learning stuff all the time. It could be other dimensions. There could be all kinds of ways. There could be people around us right now. We just can't see them. We have like a really small spectrum of vision. We can only see very small bits of color that exist.
It's like that Quantum Leap thing. Remember Quantum Leap when they had Sam Beckett, and then the kids, or what was it? The kids could see him. I think kids and dogs could see him, but the adults couldn't, or something like that.
Yeah, like something like that. I totally believe that could be true. I don't think no one's shooting a Bigfoot. He's never going to get shot by anybody. He's just going to disappear or whatever.
Even if the bullets probably would just go poof, and then no, he's not there anymore.
That's right.
All right. Next, I want to talk about this 1 hour photo with Robin Williams. What a underrated movie, right? What a great movie, man. Now describe your role in this movie and throw out nostalgia for purposes of the second part of the question. Are we better off or worse off for having access to essentially unlimited photography now?
Well, your first question was, this was just like a weird indie movie, and I got an audition and it had like 2 lines, and I went in and I read it and they gave me the job, and I was like, oh, what's the role? And then they're, oh, it's those 2 lines. So there's nothing to my role at all. The coolest part about it was getting to meet Robin Williams on the set that day. But I don't know. I mean, it's like people say tech is like a bad thing, and I guess it is in that it there's the old like I don't know what it is, an aphorism or something where you have your phone, right? And it connects you to people across. You and I can speak and we're not in the same place at all. Connects us to people who are not near us, but it really disconnects us from people that are right next to us, because people are on their phones all the time.
Right.
And we're not like speaking to people. We're not having conversations. So that's how I feel about tech. It's a funny thing, but the world's definitely better, right? Like you and I can take pictures like Ansel Adam now with our phone, and we're like morons. We don't know what we're doing.
Right, anywhere. And we can take pictures of anything. We don't have some guy like a Robin Williams character, looking at our pictures and, oh, this is good. This ain't good. This ain't, it's whatever's in my pictures is on my phone. This is my stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, I got to ask you about this Weird Al video, Gump. Now, for the younger folks who don't know what Weird Al, he's a parody songwriter. He wrote songs like Stuck in a Closet with Vanna White and I'm Fat. That was one of my favorite ones. Now, how do you keep a straight face in a video shoot like this, man?
Dude, when I shot that, I was like 3 sheets to the wind. I was sick as a dog. I was sick as a dog the whole day. It was a full day shoot. That dude works he just is a very hardworking dude. He's always going. He's editing everything. He's directing the videos. He's really, really talented. And I mean, the way I kept straight face was I was just like in between takes. I was laying down. I had the flu. I had this like fever and I had to like run into poles and shit like that.
Do you have a favorite Weird Al song besides that one?
I always liked My Bologna. Bologna is My Sharona. Like, I thought that was so funny. That was like when I was a little kid. And I worked with
get a whole tape of ones that were loaded. My Weird Al connection is when I was in the desert. The guy, the Chameleonaire, Hakeem Sareki, he did that song "Riding Dirty."
Yeah,
Weird Al did the white and nerdy version of that. They're white and nerdy.
He's awesome. I worked with him again. We did something for The Simpsons, and he's in that whole world. And he performed live. And we performed live. We had a band and we performed on the same stage as him. It was fun.
Man. I got another question from Dave. He says, have you ever heard of a guy called Magnus Walker who lives in LA and collects Porsches?
No. Bet you he's got quite a garage. He sounds like somebody who'd have Porsches. Magnus.
I am Magnus, and here's my Porsche collection.
This is my 911.
There's a museum here. It's called in Ohio, in Cleveland. It's called the Crawford Auto Aviation Museum. They got all them classic cars in there. I'm thinking a lot of these guys probably drive the car and they're like, oh, I can't do it anymore. Just donate to the museum and tax right off. Yeah. Rich
maybe. Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then I always start thinking when I see these cars in these museums, Andy, my Grand Theft Auto kicks in. I'm like, wonder if I put some gas in that fucker, if I could just drive around and knock over some dinosaur bones.
I bet you could if you're in the right place.
I got to ask you a couple more acting things before we get into some music here.
Yeah.
Now, you were in a couple episodes of House. First off, House, great show, right? What a band.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. however unpractical the style of the show was, right? I mean, he just gets away with whatever. But first, the show had you for like 5 episodes. Now, was that purposely kept at 5 to keep you like from getting put up into a different bracket of residuals? Or was that just what the contract called for?
No, it actually called for 3, and then when we were shooting it, it was like they said, "Oh, this is going to be like." It was around the time The Bachelor was beginning, and they said,
Okay.
"Oh, so the premise of this new season is he's going to have all these residents, and you're all going to be vying to be, one of the 2 people he keeps, and you're not going to make it. You're only going to be here 3 episodes, but they're not going to know that right away." And so I said, "Great." And then while I was shooting it, they asked me if I would do 2 more. They like stretch it out a little bit, but at no time did I think I was going to be. I knew Olivia Wilde was going to be one of them, and I thought Cal Penn or the people who had more stuff going on in their career.
Okay. Now, how long does it take to film an hour show like that? I mean, how is it a typical work week, like 40 hours, or like how long?
Oh God, no. They're usually like House was afflicted by really long days. I don't know what exactly happened that they did that. I think it had something to do with just how long it took them to light it, but they were like no problem, like 15-hour days, no problem.
Damn.
And those crew guys were bummed. For me, it was no big deal. It was like I go home after 9 days. That's how long it takes to shoot an hour show. But the guys who were there, that's their job. It's like, that's why, so many crew guys are divorced and never see their kids, and they're making tons of money, and they don't have any time to spend it because they're working all the time.
Hey,
And, when you're in a show, it's like, that thing may go for years and years.
Sounds like their airline pilot career.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we got another question from Dave. Dave seems to be enjoying it. Why did you move from LA? Where are you at now?
I live in the Northeast. I live in Vermont, and I'd been there 30 years, and the city just was not the same. To me, it had been changing for a while, and I wanted to change. And so my wife and I just packed up and drove back east. We thought we'd be closer to like the city down by New York, but I'm really glad we ended up where it's really pretty.
I've been up to Vermont just once, actually. I just drove up there just to drive through it. It's a very nice state. Very nice state. Ben and Jerry's factory, I think's up there. And
yeah,
I like the license plates too. Them Vermont, them green, all green with white.
Yeah.
That's a banger. And they the guys I served with from that, they call themselves the Green Mountain Boys because Vermont.
Green Mountain Boys. That's right.
Because it's Vermont is French, I think, for Green Mountain. So Green Mountain.
Yeah.
Cool logo, man. I wish I had one of their patches, man. All right, well, back to the streamings, the sitcoms and stuff, and the dramas.
Yeah.
I think the good old days, all that stuff is gone. Now we're in the streaming area. Do you think we're going to see a pseudo return to it at some point? What's your take on what's going to happen with, media and your kind of business going forward?
Well, it's never going to go back to network television, but what you experienced in network television with commercials and all that stuff that you didn't have in the beginning of streaming, that's all coming back. It'll just be on streamers now instead of network TV.
Okay.
That's all happening for sure, because the streaming model is not I think it's grown to a point where it's not growing as fast anymore as far as subscriptions. So right. They're making money with advertising, and they're like, if you notice, like now Amazon, there's a lot of stuff. If you have Prime Video, there's a lot of stuff that you have to watch commercials now where you didn't before.
Oh yeah, and I guess that's why I pay. I mean, I tell people once people get a taste of that life without commercials, without this, we just completely tune it out. I mean, I could sit there and look. I could watch an hour and a half of commercials, not retain one bit of information. That's just the way my brain works. That's the way a lot of people are now. Like, we're so bombarded. We debated a stream the other day. Somebody said it's like 10,000 advertisements a day we're bombarded with, and it's probably true. It really is. It's crazy to think about, because I don't know what the end goal with the advertised based model is. I mean, if I was a company, and that's another thing that bothers me too, Andy, is that You get some videos that are not rated for streamers or limited ads. It's like, what? I mean, I see some of these ads that run on YouTube, man. You tell me these companies that run this stupid ass game out there with little tanks and shit, they care if somebody says fuck. They're gonna want all the money they got coming to them. They're grifting people as it is. Fuck out of here. These guys got standards, bro. No way, man. No way. No. Now you did a bunch of one-offs, man. NCS, Criminal Minds, stuff like that. Are there any ones that were really fun, or is most of it just another day at the office for you kind of thing?
They're all fun, dude. Every single one of them is fun. I can't believe I got to do this career. It's like the best job you could ever have.
That's
Every
awesome.
single one. I never had like a bear of a job. They're all like really, really fun.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I could do the acting. I mean, could I act for a thing? Sure, but like, I mean, I'm old now. Would I be willing to go to LA and work for whatever the fuck the scale is? Probably not. So who knows? But you never say never. All right, we got some silly questions, and then we'll bounce on out of here. Well, before we get into that, tell me about this musical group, Vaude and the Villains. When did this start, and what sorts of music do you guys play and do you tour with it? Is it still active kind of thing?
It's not super active anymore. We began as a kind of like a one-off thing. We decided we wanted to have a band like the Bruce Springsteen Seeger Session Band, which was like a lot of old folk songs, but with this big old-timey band, all acoustic instruments. And so we threw this thing together in LA, and we had a friend of ours had a nightclub, and he said, you can have the first Sundays, you got Sunday night. You can have Sunday night starting May 8th, 5 Sundays. And he booked us, and we didn't have a band yet. And so we put this thing together, and it just kind of caught fire in LA. And we started doing big events, and we started playing all around the city. And we drew this, had this following. And it just was the thing that was like paying our mortgage for a dozen years. We were playing up and down the state, and then we started touring. We started coming back east, and we started going to New York and California, Colorado, and up and down. And it was just this amazing thing that we got to do. We played the Cannes Film Festival, played the Hollywood Bowl. We played all over the place.
Nice. What instrument did you sing? I mean, I tried to watch some of the videos. I think I saw you singing. Did you play any instruments, or what?
I played saxophone, and I started in the band just being the band leader and playing saxophone, choosing all the musicians and material, and then as it went on and people would come and go out of the band, I started singing more because we needed a singer. We needed somebody that was always there and not like going to leave us in the lurch. So I started singing more, and then I started writing more songs. My wife started writing songs, and that's how we starting to do our original material. Originally, it was just playing like old-timey stuff.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, time for some silly questions we always do
All
this time of the show just to make people laugh. What kind of dishwashing detergent do you use?
I think we use Dawn.
Everybody always says Dawn. So far, Dawn gets like 80% of the answers. How long could you sit at a library and do nothing before you would fall asleep?
Well, I mean, do I get to read a book, or
no? You just sitting in a chair. Just how long would it make you fall asleep? Yeah.
I'm pretty quick.
10, 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm out.
Especially with some of them library chairs can get comfy too, man. I don't know. All right, what's your favorite airline you've been on, and do you have a least favorite?
Dude, have you ever flown first class?
I have not. Oh, you know what? I'm coming back from the desert. I sat in a seat that was first class. It wasn't like first class amenities, but I got the leg room for that. So that was a close. That was on a 7-4. So
I had a bunch of miles.
Okay.
And that's the only reason I could fly first class. And sometimes in show business, they fly you first class. But I flew first class overseas. And I'm telling you, that was like the best. It was the best. I was like the trailer park, the guy who's just like, they come with the wine. And I'm like, instead of like, oh, I'll have the white, I'm like, give me one of all of them. And like, same with the desserts, dude. I was just like this piggy, was eating everything. First class is the way to go. Otherwise, come on, man. A bus is a bus. It's up in the air.
That reminds me of when we flew to Korea back in 04, and they were like, well, the beers are free on these international flights. So every time I saw the stewardess come by, can I get a beer? Can I get a beer?
Yeah. Stock up. Stock the
I must
bus.
say like 10 beers in that. Well, to be fair, it was a 14-hour flight. It was a long bad boy flight, but that was funny. Korean Air was a good airline. I like Korean Air. It was fun. All right, when was the last time you were at the zoo?
Oh, I don't go to zoos, dude. I hate
No,
zoos. No.
those zoos, the captivity that drives you crazy.
Yeah, I don't like that. I
I
don't
feel
like
it.
that.
I feel it. I wonder if we're gonna see. I don't know, because isn't there like some species that like are only alive because of zoos at this point? I don't know. Like, I mean, like the white rhino, shit like that. I'm not an expert, but
It
I
may
don't
be
know.
true. I don't know. I just don't like going and I don't like going to see animals in cages, or even like I've been to the ones that are like Arizona, and they're out in the wild supposedly, but it's like they don't look healthy at all. They're
Little
like,
safari park. Yeah, we have those around here. There's the one up
yeah,
here by Cedar Point. Yeah, those things
yeah,
are-
exactly. Yeah, I don't like that stuff. Just like, yeah, if they're gonna die off, they're gonna die off, but don't
All
put
right.
them in a cage.
When was the last time you used a vacuum cleaner?
Vacuum cleaner? My wife takes care of all that.
Nice. You're lucky man. Lucky man. Lucky man. I love it. I love it. All right. Have you ever been in a Ferrari? What about a Lamborghini? And do you have a favorite car?
My favorite car was a Porsche 911 I had when I lived in LA. I met my wife. It was a 1978 1911 SC, and I loved that car. That was my favorite car. You had to drive it all the time. You couldn't like take your eyes off the road. You really had to drive that car. It smelled like oil. It was hot. The AC didn't work. It's the best car I ever had.
What do you what do you drive now?
Drive a Sprinter van that we had when we had our band. It was full of seats, and now it's sort of like a camper van. We go see music and stuff in it. Sleep overnight. Yeah.
Nice. And you talked about Bermuda before. Have you ever been? Do you like the Caribbean? Have you been to the Virgin Islands?
I don't think I've been to the Virgin Islands, but I've been to the Bahamas.
Okay.
And I spent a little time down there. Is that your thing? Do you like that?
Me and my son been to the Virgin Islands 3 times. Man, it's great down there. It's great.
Where do you go? I never know. Like, there's so many places you can go.
We usually the airport takes you to. There's three different islands: St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John. And we always go to St. Thomas, and then there's a ferry that goes to St. John because they're right next to each other. St. Croix is like way in the other side of the ocean kind of thing compared to it. But yeah, St. Thomas, we stay at the same resort. It's called Secret Harbor. There's a little beach right there, and it's I mean, it's nice, dude. It's so nice. Then you take because St. John is like the national park, like 75% of the island is a national park. So there's not much. There's only like 5,000 people even live in the whole island. So you got a couple resorts over there, but it's mostly just you just drive over there and you can swim, see the sea turtles, and they take little scuba excursions. It's really cool. That part's awesome, man. It's not, in my opinion, it's not that more expensive than some of the other stuff. I mean, I'd rather go there than Puerto Rico. I mean, it was less. I've never been to Puerto Rico, but from what I've seen about people in Puerto Rico complain about the crowds and this and that, nothing like that on the Virgin Islands, man. I love it.
So Virgin Islands is kind of like a vacation. It's just like sit on the beach kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if they have nightlife, and there's a little bit of nightlife, but it's not like the places are like hard to get to. It's not like there's not like an interstate that goes through there. Like all the roads are up and around and curvy and shit like that. So it's one of those things you gotta get to. It's hard to get to. That one makes it funner. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's mostly a sit in the beach kind of just enjoy it type of thing for sure. But I'm not really excursion. Like, I mean, we did a couple things. There was like a glow boat thing me and my son did, and then there was a one thing, like they said, the boat. It's a booze cruise kind of thing. Just take out and pizza and just go snorkel stuff like that. So it was really the sea turtles are so awesome. I just love looking at those things swimming around, eating the little seaweed and stuff.
So cool, man. So cool.
I know, right? Oh my goodness. What was in your opinion, who are the 3 most famous people you've met in your life?
3 most famous people. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question because nowadays people don't know famous people anymore that I think are famous. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's people who don't know who Weird Al is, right?
Right.
People who don't know who Joe Pesci is. There's people who don't know who Diane Cannon is. Like, I don't know. Most famous people. Hugh Laurie's pretty famous. I don't know.
Does he talk when he talks? I mean, he talks obviously in the show in the American accent. When he's offset, does he talk all in the English accent, or does he talk all in the American accent?
He flipped. He went back and forth because he was trying to get certain verbiage to be correct. It's not San. What was the word he was trying to say? San Joaquin Valley,
Okay.
and he was saying, San Joaquin Valley or so, just something. I don't know. He was just saying it slightly off, but he's constantly. But then I heard him talking to his son about the camera and explaining something. He was just in his regular English accent voice.
That's funny, man. I mean, because I could do it sarcastically, but to really do it like a Hugh Laurie or Tracy Ullman, just where you do the whole American, that would be rough. Because I start laughing. It's hard to do it. I mean, for one, for Americans, it's hard to do a UK accent without doing Austin Powers. You instantly turn into Austin Powers. So it's like to do that for a whole show, not sound completely like Austin Powers, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. The Brits are better at accents. I don't know. They're better at accents. They got this. They got the corner on that. Australians and Brits, man, they come and they play Americans all the time. I hate it.
Oh, I know. It's great. All right. What period of time would you like to live in that you haven't already lived in?
I don't know. Like, I think the most I would do is like maybe the 20s. But if you were in the 20s and you were like, I don't know, the equivalent of like a trust fund kid today, if you were just like a fucking down on your luck person, that would suck.
Right.
And also, like, I would want to be going to all the like the Weimar era parties and stuff like that in the 20s. That seemed like so cool. But if you were like out of that circle, I would want to get out of there as quick as possible. Where would you go?
I would probably. I always have it fast because I was born in the 70s, but I didn't really get to like live it.
Yeah,
so, like that whole.
Be like older in the 70s.
I'm very felony adverse, so I want to say like a Studio 54 disco kind of thing, but I've never done cocaine. I'm always scared of getting felonies, so I don't know if I could really, if that would be the ultimate for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and it would probably. I'd like to like look in on certain eras, look in on certain things in World War II, not like the carnage stuff, but just like looking at the, for example, like D-Day, seeing the guys on June 4th when they thought they were going to ship out and then they didn't, and looking around and seeing, 90% of these guys are probably going to die kind of thing, what their mindset is, what's going through their head. That kind of stuff would fascinate me, just seeing that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be one of those stormtroopers, man. You think back to these guys in these planes, man, this is not a proven technology, man. They're just jumping out of a rickety plane made in some factory in Lima, Ohio. They're doing their best, and God bless them, man. That was a fucking crazy war when you think about it. Because I often think about like my stupid experience in the desert when I was just sitting there looking at a computer for fucking 5 months. And then I see all these Vietnam guys and World War II guys. It's like, my goodness, what a just different, what we consider a war now and what they consider a war back then are just two totally different things, man. It's so crazy.
Yeah, my dad had an uncle who was one of the guys, you saw the Spielberg movies and Pacific and stuff like that, where those boats come in the ocean and there's all these enemies on the beach, just like as soon as the door comes down and just get smeared in the boat. He died like that. Like he came out of the boat and just died like that. And it was something that hit my dad really hard. And I was not even born yet. My dad was a little kid, and he was I went to Italy once. He had me go see his grave, and what a different but even now, man, they're sending what they're doing in Russia and Ukraine. Like they're sending all these people to get just meat grinders, just get ground down and blown up and shit like that. Like that's crazy.
Right. And that's the thing. And not to get too humanitarian this year, but the fact that we let a country like America, how we let places like North Korea, China, Russia, and all this random shit and all this oppression, horrible shit, we could easily take care of that. Plant pug. I mean, I'm not an expert. I don't know how to do it. But the fact that and then we'll meet with these world leaders knowing that they're sending 15,000 of their own every month out to die for, 500 yards in the Donbass region. Some stupid shit, man. It just irritates me. But if you think about it holistically, it's been like that since the dawn of time. Ever since there was two cavemen in rival caves, they were probably beating each other where they would get more land.
Well, what about like going back in time to like a Game of Thrones era, like back in like the medieval times, and you could again, if you were a peasant, no, but if you got to like be in the castle and be like one of the king's advisors, then I don't want to be out there with maybe a sword getting thrown into me, but be exciting.
Right. And I've seen some videos like the YouTube's great for stuff like this. Like, what would life be like, if you were transported back even as a, medieval queen or king or whatever? And they say it probably wouldn't be good. There's creature comforts that we got,
Totally.
that they don't have. I mean,
No,
Jesus.
they're like shitting in pails, dude. There was no
Right.
plumbing. It was terrible.
Hey, I want to go take a shower and take a, take a dump, but I can do that right in my own house.
Yeah,
Nobody had
no.
that back then, right? Here's your bucket, dump it over the ground. The smell alone from
The
anything
smell alone, exactly.
prior to the 80s or 70s, honestly, would probably just throttle us. I mean, even if we went back to the 50s, you can't tell me any of these guys in the 50s are all wearing good deodorant. They probably smelled like, a little funky compared to our standards. So
they're eating better food, though.
Oh, for sure. Oh man, a nice home cooked 50s meal would hit the spot right now. So crap we got, bro. All right, how long would it take you to parallel park a car?
I'm quick, dude.
In and
I'm
out.
easy peasy. I drive a big van. I drive like a big, like 17 feet van. I can park anything.
Oh hell yeah! All right, Beatles or Queen?
Parker?
I'm mediocre. It depends. I mean, I got a Kia, so I could park that. But like when it comes to big stuff, like when I was in the service, I wrecked a bus, and I wrecked. It was we were coming out. If you ever been to Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport in Terminal 2, right? There was I had this is a standard bus, standard Greyhound sized bus, 45 passenger bus, and it was like I only like really drove it on base once or twice. I really probably shouldn't have been driving it at the airport. Whatever, in hindsight, but I was going this way and I cut. It was not even 80 yards from the terminal. I cut and I missed it and I scraped the back panel on it. My sergeant got out, he starts pounding it out, and he drove it to the thing. We swapped drivers out, and the Army. It cost the Army Army Guard like $8,000 to fix it or whatever. And they gave me like all I had to do was like watch an Army safety training video. But they didn't.
Were you driver of buses, or did you?
Yeah, for I had my license. They didn't let me drive it after I wrecked that one. There's always a guy, but so we get in the thing. They're like, bro, you gotta watch this Army safety video. It's like, okay, but they didn't tell me which one to watch, so I just like watched 2 random videos and went back home. It was my punishment was severely underwhelming for the amount of damage I caused the government there.
Did you crash any more buses?
No, I haven't crashed a couple cars. I crashed my minivan into the telephone pole over here, but that's another story for another day. That was pretty fucked up that night. But I got I don't do that shit anymore. No way. I was sober in the Arizona trip though. That was a funny thing. You got to remind me. I'll email you the picture of the bus. There was because they like had us take pictures of the bus, and I took one picture of me like this, smiling next to the damage, and the one guy was like, "Yeah, take that picture out before you send the report of it. It's not cool." All right, Beatles or Queen? Who would you pick out of those 2 bands?
I don't know enough about Queen. I think the Beatles. I saw that Peter Jackson documentary on them, and I had not known that much about the Beatles before I saw that, and I thought amazing. Paul McCartney is just like unbelievable.
No,
unbelievable. Do you know? Did you ever see the documentary Get Back?
I saw a trailer for it. I haven't think it's
well worth it. It's well worth it. Even if you're not like a Beatles fan, if you're just like a music fan,
right?
It's pretty cool. Like they're writing, you see him write Get Back on camera. Like you see him like conceive of the song, and like he's playing it. He's playing his bass guitar like it's a little guitar. He's just like strumming it like it's nothing.
That's awesome. My favorite Beatles video, well, not because they didn't really like do music videos back then. The one I don't even know they have it on YouTube anywhere. It was for all you need is love, and they started out in like black and white, and then they go up next is the Beatles, and then they play it, and then they went into color, and then they had the whole diverse. It was like the '60s, so they had like the completely diverse panel up there.
Yeah.
In the crowd, they had Mick Jagger, and everybody was just all you need is love. It's great, man. Fucking great video.
But Queen, you can't go wrong with Queen. Queen's amazing.
Right. I mean, geez, some of the best songs ever made out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Queen.
All right. What is something you haven't done yet you are sure you're going to do by the time you're 60? And what advice do you have for your future self?
Wow. What is something I have not done yet that I might do by the time I'm 60? I thought about doing DMT. Have you ever done that?
I've heard about it. I've never done it.
But I don't know. The more I think about it, I think you see these people do it, right? And they're like, it changed my life. I like saw the other side, and there's this whole other life is so beautiful, and And then you like check back in on them like a year and a half later, and they're like, they're like getting a divorce, or they're just like their life is shit. It doesn't really stick. Like, it didn't really work. Not that I need something to fix my life. I'm just saying, like, you think you're gonna have this profound experience with this stuff, but I've done mushrooms. That's kind of profound.
I've done some shrooms. I dig some shrooms. I'm not gonna lie, it's they're pretty good. I mean, and it's weird because like when you're on shrooms, you kind of know you're on shrooms, but
Yes.
but man, I had this sweating sometimes. It's like and it's funny. I got a stalk I've had since like 2022. It's sitting in a bag over there, and I wonder if the thing's still good. Probably even more intense now. But it was funny you mentioned all these psychedelics. This buddy I know, his name's Scott. He was telling me about the ayahuasca. Him and his other friend went down there to the Central American. After him describing the experience, I'm like, yeah, I'm cool, because they say you fly down to the airport, you get in this rickety ass fucking bus through the jungle for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And you go into this like, whatever room, just basic accommodations, and you drink this disgusting soup. You're probably gonna puke up, and then you go lay on this bed and you're puking up, and you might shit yourself over the No way.
No. And it's done in isn't it done in like 5 minutes?
Yeah, you just do it, and then you're done, and that's it. Yeah, it's everybody. He said, I mean, they swear by the the outlook change of it. For me, kind of that was with weed, because like I was in the service for 20 years, and I retired in 2015 from the Guard, and then after that, fucking weed, and then once I quit the drinking, pretty much it was the weed was life changing, because like I could focus. I'm a lot different than a lot of people. A lot of people get on weed and they just go to sleep. I was here to smoke weed all day and yap. That's just how I am. So it's like I couldn't. I mean, just I don't like not being in that kind of control. You're like that. You're defecating yourself and puking, whatever, man. Nothing. I mean, I'm good in my life now. I don't really need to, get on to all that stuff, man. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. I don't know what else I'd do. I'd do. What else would I do? I'd probably like run a marathon. I don't know.
I looked into that, man. I actually paid for a marathon, and I was gonna do it. It was 2017 or 18. I can't remember the exact year.
Really?
It was the Air Force Marathon, because my brother, he's a big runner kind of thing. And let's do this. And I paid for that marathon, and then I didn't do it. I no-showed the marathon. But we got that. We did that 5K last year, and we walked it, and so I did get a medal for that. So that was cool.
Medals are nice. Does it have your name on it?
No, I'll show you. It just says Veterans 5K. It's just up at the Metro Parks. It's pretty cool looking, though. It's got all this gold on it and everything.
I like it. I'd like it more if it had Joe Varell on there.
Right, you can say my name, Joe Varell, or Joey Edibles on there. I can just rock it.
Yeah, Joey Edibles.
I should wear it all day. Well, this is awesome, man. How do you got anything coming up, and how do people get a hold of you?
I don't think people can get a hold of me. I'm not really on social media, but I have a short film that I just shot that I'm going to be releasing this month in January. It's called Trad Brad, and I'll go on social media for that. I'll talk about that. I'll put a trailer out and interact with people, on Instagram. Probably is the best way. Andy Comeau 7, and that's what I have going on. I have been focused more on writing stuff and shooting stuff, so that's something that that's where my attention is right now.
Good stuff, man. Well, it was fun having you out, brother.
You too, dude.
This is a good stuff. Good show out here.
Absolutely. Good luck to you. I hope you keep going.
Yeah, man, it should be fun. Yeah, don't forget Friday we're gonna do the cheese show, and I think the death pool is gonna be Friday. I don't know the exact time, but we'll find out. So tune in then. And don't forget, guys, January 17th, Pat Tanaka, the wrestler, is going to be on, I think, at like 5:30. But thanks, Andy, for coming out, brother. I appreciate it much, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Joe. Take care.
All right.